Now showing the Mandalorian, because we're going to open up the Star Wars Vintage Collection figure of Moff Gideon from the Mandalorian TV show. So we'll talk about him and this figure. We'll open him up. Not a lot of choices for the Mandalorian right now, so any little bit, any character that pops up in the line is like, yes please. But Moff Gideon's one I would get no matter what, so. Oh, there's the cape. He does have a very tiny blaster. I think the weapon we all recognize him for is this Darksaber. It's a little weird how they've done it. There's kind of like some white splotches on there, and then the edge. The edge is white to kind of get that effect. But it's the same kind of black as the handle, so it doesn't look amazing with the effect, but I think it gets the point across. It doesn't come with just a hilted version, which a lot of the figures usually did, but not this one. And Moff himself, he does kind of have this tunic-y kind of weird piece here. Get those joints going. Not sure why everybody always said he had Darth Vader style armor. It's just kind of the normal armor piece that you'd see on like General Veers and Empire Strikes Back and things like that. Maybe there is some more mechanics to it possibly, but just kind of that kind of piece. So it is a unique costume, the red lines, not just the standard gray Moff or anything like that kind of uniform. So he does have a holster there for that little blaster, so that's good that we won't have to make him hold it because he didn't really use it in the show much. Just kind of a cool bonus. So he does just have the peg in the back for the cape. Of course, he'll still be limited on what he can pose with that cape on like this, just because it is a flat plastic piece back there. For the face, I mean, can't really ask for better. It looks crazy spot on for him. Everybody did kind of note that he was a fairly large character in Breaking Bad, not usually a show that I would have watched, but I did actually watch all of that show, so I did kind of go into The Mandalorian knowing him from that, and that, you know, that does kind of carry over some fear and such, just because he was such a scary villain on that show. Probably part of the reason they cast him, just because it just has that element of, can look very serious at times, I don't know why. Get that Darksaber. Like, what a moment there that he sliced through there, you know, just revealing that he is a wielder of that weapon. So, still don't quite know the story, how he acquired that, even after watching all of Season 2 here. We might get more story on that. Since that is kind of the next issue that needs taken care of more than anything, is what to do with that Darksaber and its connection to Mandalore. Actually does have more movement in the wrist that I've really seen too much in other vintage collection figures. I've not really seen this swivel thing, but I don't get too many of them. That is interesting. I don't need a vintage collection figure for everyone. Not everybody needs that super articulation for the way I display my figures, so if there was maybe a kind of a basic line of Mandalorian figures at some point, if it really did get more and more popular with you know, kids wanting the toys and things, I would have just went with a standard, you know, 5 points of articulation Moff Gideon just for the display, but wow, you know, I mean, getting the vintage collection version, since there is no standard version, it looks pretty great. So, can't really complain that I had to go vintage collection to get this one, so. There's no TIE fighter for him with those kind of folding wings, but he'll look good with all the other Mandalorian figures that I have. Not that I have a ton, since there's very little released right now. I do hope there's a lot more coming for the Mandalorian. You know, still plenty of figures to make from Season 1, and now that we have a whole Season 2, that a lot of big-time characters that need figures from that season as well. So here's to a lot more Mandalorian figures, we can hope. You have something I want. More Mandalorian figures. Wow.